Alright, what's up everybody, it's Kami, and welcome to a new series that I'm going to be calling Stand Swap. And the name is pretty self-explanatory. This was brought to me by a subscriber. I believe his name was Dairy Main. He's in my Discord, which you guys can join. Link is in the description below. But I'm doing this live, by the way. I'm just, sitting down, playing the game, commentating live, and, talking about the Stand Swap. And again, it's very self-explanatory. It's pretty much just taking two characters from any random part and swapping their stands, I guess, or just swapping one user's stand with somebody else, so that you can think about possible situations that could have happened with them having this. So, for example, I could have done Jotaro with Crazy Diamond instead of having Star Platinum. So that could have been one. But I thought, why don't we take Mista and Whole Horse, since I was thinking about making a video talking about the two anyways, and we'll take their stands and swap them out with each other's stands. So, if you guys don't know, Whole Horse's stand, the Emperor, I believe, is pretty much just this little revolver gun that he has, but it has the same amount of strength as a normal gun. So it does that. It has infinite ammo, so he doesn't have to reload, and it has the normal range of a normal gun. However, it does, guns hurt. So that's that. It's pretty much just a gun, just a normal handgun that shoots really fast. He's able to freely manipulate and maneuver his bullets however he wants, so he can hold the gun in front of him and shoot the gun backwards if he wanted to. That's just an example of that. And by the way, this stage is really cool. I never see anybody play on the 13 stage in this game, but it's pretty cool. But yeah, so he can do that with the Emperor, and the way Mista's stand works, Sex Pistols, which are these little yellow guys that you see floating around him, is that they reflect his bullets. So they don't actually affect the bullets or the gun, they simply just bounce them around. So I'll reload right here real quick. And that's another big drawback between the two, if we were to compare the two stands, is that with the Emperor, Whole Horse does not have to reload, but with Sex Pistols, Mista still does have to reload, because after all, it is a normal gun. So if we do this right here, what this skill does is it lets the Sex Pistols stand in place, and you can pretty much just use this to have them deflect and bounce around their bullets back and forth between each other, like that. So I'll shoot right here, and it'll go, kind of over there towards Whole Horse, who's in the corner somewhere. But sadly I can't do anything about that because he's like over the wall. But I can pretty much shoot through here, and as you guys can see, it's going this way, and it's shooting through there. So they just do that. But yeah, that's pretty much all the Sex Pistols do. They don't help him reload faster. Mista still has to reload his gun normally. And these Sex Pistols like to eat, so I guess there's that condition too of making sure they're not hungry, or else they won't function. And that's kind of just like a little thing that they added in there. But there's those two big differences between those stands, just to get that out of the way, and to kind of explain, what would happen if you were to swap these. So to give you guys a scenario, I guess first for Whole Horse, we'll take the fight of Whole Horse, and it's either Boingo or Oingo. I forgot which one of the two brothers it is that was with him. It's the smaller one that has Thoth, and he's trying to kill, Jotaro and the gang, and what he ends up doing is shooting himself because he shot at the wrong time period. Thinking that it was an earlier time, because he looked at like his watch or something, or like the clock at the wrong moment, and it was like something stupid like that. So that happened. If he were to have Sex Pistols, because what he does is he's like, hey, if I shoot this bullet through this pipeline at this time, then I will be able to kill Jotaro or whatever. That was his objective. He's like, I'll win, I'll kill him for sure, and we'll get that done with, right? And you're thinking, okay, that makes sense, right? Go ahead and do that, and you win, right? But he's Whole Horse, and he messes up, so he shoots wrong. So if you were to have the Sex Pistols instead of the Emperor at this moment, right, when his bullet deflected back at him and it shot him, these Sex Pistols could have protected him, and it would have deflected his bullet somewhere else. Because we do see the Sex Pistols save Mista from being shot several times. I think the first time we see it happen is either in the Kraftwerk fight, he just saves him from a projectile, or it's in the Grateful Dead fight, where he stops a bullet from completely entering Mista's head, stopping it from hitting all his vitals and killing him, essentially. So we have that pretty much, usage of Sex Pistols, and it's very useful that they can do this. So if Whole Horse were to have this, one, he would have not shot himself at that moment. He would have been able to use the Sex Pistols to reflect the bullet from hitting his head, and two, having this ability to reflect bullets, given he won't have his infinite ammo and his, no reload times anymore, because he's just able to use the Emperor literally on the fly. He's able to just summon his stand and just shoot immediately. He would just be using a normal gun. He wouldn't be having the Emperor as a special gun stand anymore, which is, I guess the big downfall about this. But he would have not died at that moment or gotten injured. I don't remember if he actually dies or not. But he wouldn't have gotten injured at this moment because he would have deflected a bullet. So that's one of the, situations you can look at it like that. He would have also been able to deflect his bullets at the crew so that he would have actually hit somebody. He could have done something with that. He would have been okay. He wouldn't have, gotten injured in that fight at that moment. So that would have saved him right there. That would have been a pretty big, deal, and that would have made a big difference on the part. Now, if we were to give Mista the Emperor in Vento Ario, and he were to have that instead of Sex Pistols, there would be a lot more situations where it would have been useful for him, I believe. Considering that Mista's always going into his fight, with his guns or whatever, and they're always having this killing intent within all of the fights, and they always want to, kill their target, then things would have been a little easier for him to, kind of just do this with a gun that has infinite ammo. So he doesn't have to worry about reloading his gun or anything. He would have been okay on that. He wouldn't have to worry about, having to feed anybody extra. So there's that big difference between the two. He would always have the gun on the fly, and he would have this specific bullet control that I mentioned before the Whole Horse has, where he's able to hold his gun, in front of his head. And, oh, I forgot to do the guard break thing. But he would have always had, free aim over his bullets without having to rely on using the Sex Pistols to bounce them back and stuff like that. So having infinite ammo when you're a Mafia member who's fighting against a bunch of people that are trying to kill you is definitely a very, it's a very life-changing difference. And it's something that makes a big impact on, any of the fights, really. If you would have had infinite ammo and, pretty much every single fight, then he would have always been able to just keep on shooting, and it would have made a big difference, in a lot of the outcomes in some situations where it's like, oh, I can't reload my gun, or I only have, 1 or 2 bullets left in my gun, so I can't attack. And I don't know why Whole Horse wasn't getting shot right there. He wasn't even, blocking or anything. That was weird. But, he wouldn't have that drawback, and that's just what happens when you have a normal gun. But Whole Horse, on the other hand, has this special gun that he's able to, use. It's a gun with superpowers, essentially. So you give that to the gangster that shoots people, and it definitely helps him out compared to the punk-ass cowboy that we have that is Whole Horse. So that's, probably the biggest difference, pretty much. Again, this is just all a bunch of speculation things, and it's kind of just hey, what would happen if you take these two characters and you swap them out? Because if we were to compare just those two stands together, I definitely would say that the Emperor is the more useful, regardless of who out of these two is using it. The Emperor is the more strong stand. Sex Pistols is still very cool, and it is indeed my favorite stand, which I have a favorite stand list on the channel that you guys can check out. It was an earlier video from back in, I think, October. But I had a lot of fun making that list. But, I have that on my number 1 on there. I just really like Sex Pistols. I think Sex Pistols is pretty cool. But anyways, regardless of which of these two characters were to have the Emperor is the superior stand in my opinion, just because it has this infinite ammo and it is the gun itself, and it can, kill anybody at point blank range like a normal, revolver would or should with a, well-placed shot. But considering that the Emperor allows the user to manipulate the bullet, then he's able to do that, which Sex Pistols can also do, but it's, depending on the Sex Pistols bouncing it back, they can bounce back bullets in between somebody if they were to shoot somebody and, hit their vital organs and stuff like that. But it would just be a little easier to do it with the Emperor. So if Mista were to have the Emperor, he would be very strong. If Whole Horse were to have Sex Pistols, he would still be very strong. And I think that some of these situations that he was in Part 3 would have been a little different, given it would be very different for both characters, considering that they have swap stands, and these stands that they would have had would have made things easier for both of them in some situations. So if you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Like I said before, you can join the Discord. The link is in the description. And if you guys have any more, ideas or requests for stand swap, go ahead and comment that down below. I always check the comments for these things. I really do appreciate your guys' recommendations, and I do appreciate feedback to know if you guys, like these kinds of videos and stuff. Because if you guys don't like the, stand swap videos or something like that, then I won't do them, because I want to do content that you guys like. I just thought it was a really good idea, because, I was kind of trying to think of an idea for a video to do today, and I wanted to do something where I could just, kind of sit back and talk about, you know, just things, because I've been wanting to do a couple theory videos and stuff like that, but those do take a bit more thinking and stuff like that. So this is more still theory, but it's something that I can just, you know, think of really quickly. It's just certain situations would be different and things like that, and it's something that's a little easier to talk about than explaining you know, how this character foreshadows this in another part. Just an example. But yeah, it's easier to do just, you know, things like this where I can sit back and talk to you guys. I really do enjoy doing these things. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, if you guys have any stand swap ideas, go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this situation. Who do you think would be stronger between Whole Horse and Mista if they were to swap stands? So if Whole Horse had Sex Pistols and Mista had the Emperor, who do you think would win in a fight, I guess? Who do you think would use the stand better? Let me know. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.